Hi, and welcome to this episode of Patriot Mobile's Courage in Faith podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Buck. Today we're going to discuss the sanctity of life, one of Patriot Mobile's core pillars and an issue very near and dear to my heart personally and many of us here at Patriot Mobile. But before we get into that, we want to talk about some of our recent activism and sponsorships. Here at Patriot Mobile, our mission is to relentlessly defend our God-given constitutional rights and freedoms, and we do that through sponsoring things within our four pillars. Those pillars are the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, and our veterans and first responders. We join millions of Americans in mourning the tragic assassination of our dear friend, Charlie Kirk. Glenn and Jenny Story, Patriot Mobile's CEO and COO, were honored to attend his memorial service, standing with fellow patriots united in faith, grief, and hope. Mostly hope. I love to see how much Jesus was completely glorified through the entire service. In Fort Worth, Patriot Mobile served as the title sponsor of a Charlie Kirk March and Rally, where thousands came together to honor his life and commit to carrying forward his mission. In West Virginia, schools will soon display the national motto, "In God We Trust," thanks to a donation of 2,500 posters from Patriot Mobile and First Liberty Institute. We are honored to make this donation to remind students that our rights come from God, not the government. Patriot Mobile proudly sponsored Concerned Women for America's Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C., where more than 300 women were equipped to stand boldly for biblical values in the public square. They were also joined by the Young Women for America, which has chapters at college campuses across this country. We also sponsored the Texas Youth Summit in Houston that had a record turnout of young people gathering to worship, pray, and honor the legacy of Charlie Kirk. Patriot Mobile was blessed to sponsor the Vitae Foundation pro-life fundraiser in Dallas. It was an incredible evening as we heard from Brandon Tatum as he shared a personal story of choosing life. These are just some of the ways that Patriot Mobile is working to advance our mission across America. One of the things we want to do during this podcast is to actually feature some of the organizations that we partner with so deeply here at Patriot Mobile. So today, I am honored to be joined by Marjorie Dannenfelser, the president of SBA Pro-Life America. We have loved your partnership and really seeing the grassroots, grass tops, both sides of that SBA does. So would you kind of talk about what you guys do specifically when it comes to elections?
Yeah. Well, it's a privilege to be a partner with you. I just have to say that whenever we walk into your office, your studios, this culture here is just magnetic. Everyone works really hard and just glows with the spirit. And it's just always like a little bit of a rejuvenation coming in. So, in answer to your question, same back at you. Yes, there is a direct connection between what you do, what our grassroots people in battleground states on the ground do, and proven and changing policy. So let me just give you a good example. Over the last, since 2014, we've had in battleground states people going door to door to the right voters, getting them out in very close elections, which led to a pro-life president, a pro-life Senate, judges confirmed, overturn of Roe v. Wade. This is a direct connection to what people sacrificing at home on the ground, going door to door, giving from their poverty or giving from their wealth, just enough to make sure that we keep the engines going. And then so we had Roe overturned. Okay. All the states start passing pro-life laws. We defunded Planned Parenthood for a year, $500 million. They're all closing down. Maybe 200 perhaps by the end of this year could close.
I think we need to celebrate that for
Let's
just a
pause.
second.
Yes.
We defunded Planned Parenthood. You, Susan B. Anthony.
Well,
y'all.
Well, God first.
Yes.
But it is
having been part of this movement for so long and you for so many more years, I'm just like, it is something that we need to just celebrate.
Exactly. Pause. We actually had a party. We invited all of our DC friends and members of Congress and who came, and we just celebrated God's great graciousness and all of the hard work of all the people for all the years, people who educated, no matter what state you're from. Right. And that is what the pro-life movement is. No one ever gives up because no one ever gives up on the children. They just don't do it.
Every baby is worth fighting for.
Yeah. And so this organization that seemed like Teflon, that seemed like could not be touched just a handful of years ago, has all the while been crumbling and corroding from the center. All the scandal that's been coming out is an aspect of that. All of the terrible things that have happened to women, the employees disaffected, all sorts of things. And then when the moment comes that we're able to defund it, $500 million for a year, that is perhaps the last straw for this horrible institution. And you know what the crazy thing is, Danielle? You know this because you were in D.C. a long time. We did not see the pushback, the momentum from that side at all. It was like a whimpering last breath. Now,
it's like they knew.
I think they know where to go, and where they go and where they are is making sure that the abortion pill is going into every state, including all pro-life states. And that has ended up with unfortunately, with this horrible data point that since Dobbs, the abortion rate has gone up. Perhaps 1.1, 1.2 million children dying a year, primarily, and it probably more because there is no reporting of a pill that's sent through the mail to your boyfriend who puts it in your drink, or you or anyone. There's no tracking that information. So that is the epidemic now. That is really what we're facing. And while we have much to celebrate, we really have some work to be done. And it's vital that we look into our federal officials now, but also who we're electing in the midterms and in the next presidential race. Yes, it will happen. We all know it's coming faster than we think.
It always does.
It always does, just when you're done. And that's the next big job we have to do.
Okay, so we defunded Planned Parenthood for 1 year.
Right.
The next big battle, you believe, is the chemical abortion pill and a federal regulation over that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, our view is it should just be taken off the market. There's enough data to show that it is harming women, higher degrees of sepsis, hemorrhaging, ectopic pregnancy. There's no sonograms involved in getting the pill. So we believe it should just be taken off. But absent that, there at least needs to be the reestablishment of rules surrounding the distribution. Get it out of the mail. In-person visits with a physician before. Make sure she doesn't have an ectopic pregnancy. That would result in far fewer abortions happening in this country. It would dramatically, some say as much as 300,000 children would live just getting it out of the mail.
Wow.
So there is a lot at stake, and a lot of that is happening right now.
So who do we put pressure on to get that to happen?
It is a federal, your congressman, your senator, any communications with the administration whatsoever going to the White House to get the pill out of the mail.
That's right.
And make this, and this really is, of course, the babies are dying. It's also should be a woman's cause for the women on the left.
Of course.
It's resulting in horror stories that women who are not given any warning have no idea what they're stepping into. Yeah. Not the least of
They don't know what's
which.
happening.
They don't know what happened.
They're just
that's right.
bleeding in their bathrooms alone.
Exactly. Yeah. And they've created their own abortion center in their home that they will live in forever with all the pain of loss and the physical suffering that so many of them are going through. It is such a tragedy for a movement that used to say that this should be safe, it should be legal, it should be rare. Now they're happy with it being unsafe. They, of course, want they are losing to some extent on the legal grounds, so they're going around the laws of states. Let's undermine the laws, so not legal and certainly not rare.
Right.
Because now, of course, they shifted with the idea that this is a human right. This is a human right to kill your child. So,
human right for the mom, but not for the baby. Just
that's right.
The irony of even saying that. I just almost can't even say it out loud because I'm like, how can you believe that?
Yes. It's counterintuitive for most humans, but especially women.
Yeah.
Anybody who has the capacity to bear a child, but certainly if you have, it doesn't make sense at all. And it goes against who we are. Our inmost being just recoils against the death of the child if we have any part in that death. And that's why there are a lot of women suffering now who need our help.
And my heart just breaks for them. And honestly, it has since I was a really little girl. I don't know if I've ever have talked about this, but I watched my uncle actually stand outside of abortion clinics when I was a little girl and stand there and try to talk to women before they walked in. And he was arrested many times and went to jail.
What's his name?
Kevin Capper.
Thank you, Kevin Capper.
And I remember, I think I was 10 years old, and I asked my dad, and he was explaining to me why he did that. And I said, well, I want to help the babies too. And I feel like those of us who've been in this movement a long time, there's some story of like why we got into the movement. What's your story?
Well, I was very pro-abortion until I was in college. But when I fell big like you.
You went the opposite.
My eyes were opened. I mean, I thought I was so smart. I was at Duke. I was a college Republican chairman, and I thought I was all that in terms of being ambitious and succeeding in the world. And of course, you'd have to have abortion if you want to be a successful woman. I just cringe to think of the things that I used to say, my body, my choice, all of that. And then people like you, probably many people like are in the audience right now, were courageous. They were kind. They were firm. They gave me good arguments. They prayed for me. I'm humbled by the fact that they did. My mind totally changed. My heart completely changed. And then I said what you said as a little girl, I want to do something to help the babies too. So here we are.
Yeah. And there is much to be done. I think that I would love to kind of talk about the hope of like every person watching can do something to help one more baby. It's never too far gone to save somebody to find the Lord, right?
That's right.
I think we all saw that obviously with Charlie's service and the amount. I never would think that I would have seen that in person and just to see the Holy Spirit move. And so I'm just praying for all these people who are exploring Christianity, exploring what does it mean to be a believer, and look at God's words and say, that should impact my politics. And so I feel like, I hope that there's going to be a movement of people who are coming from the other side. And we should have our arms open and saying, come join us. And so I guess, you've been in this a long time. How would you kind of welcome them in, and what advice would you give them?
Well, what you just said is the nut of it, is the most important thing, is to, with kindness, like people treated me, kindness, firmness, the right argument, a lot of prayer.
That's right.
And the open arms are important. Not we're going to put you in jail if you have an abortion, or if or that's your reason that you didn't do it. A lot of people think that's the solution. I think that the kind, the love, the helping women through what they have suffered when they've killed their own child out of ignorance, which I would have done in a minute. And then also, the prayers first. Then also, no matter where you live, there is something important that you can do. And prayer, number one. We would not have overturned of Roe v. Wade would never have happened without that. Also, if you live in a state where you think there's not a lot going on politically, there always is. But you can also help you at your local pregnancy center, where women are finding love and healing and a new path in life that they would not have found. For our mission, the elections that lead to the saving of lives, getting very focused on the House and the Senate midterms is vitally important to keep momentum moving on the pro-life front on the federal level. We need some federal minimum standard. It's ridiculous that this country has taken no stand on where abortion should be at a minimum. A line should be drawn. And then, of course, the presidency. We like to think that we're set forever. We're not. No. And so that next primary is going to be pretty important. So prayers underlying all those, but then activity as much as you can possibly get involved in these battlegrounds, that will really determine the course of policy in the future.
Yeah, so our members obviously are going to be kind of plugged into some resources at the end of this. But so outside of prayer, describe the battleground states that y'all are going to be going into for the midterms.
Yeah. So the battlegrounds are really, especially where we are, and we're going to be in most of them. Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, Iowa. There are perhaps a couple more that we're looking at, but those are probably the Senate seats that we're looking at that are battlegrounds. And then because the House is so important and so close, there are House battlegrounds, including in Texas and other places all over the country. Those races, and we'll be involved in about 12 of those. Okay. We'll reach 1 million people per state. We'll send thousands of college kids in, going door to door to the right homes, to convince the right voters. And when I say that, we're not going to homes that everybody's known pro-abortion. We're going to people who may not vote. They're pro-life. They may not vote. or they can be persuaded. We know through AI and other data that they can be persuaded. And so our success rate over time with all of that work has been an average of about 6% movement of that group of people that we're trying to move. That's why we are the largest, and in other people's words who have benefited from our work, effective ground game in the country. And so partly also because we're always building. We don't close it down and restart it. We're always building. Okay. And so that's where we'll be. Okay. And we got to keep the House and the Senate.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
It's very important. So just to give a glimpse, like if that door was right there and there was a young college student knocking on the door, what would they say? Like, what does that look like?
Well, first of all, they are well trained before they get there.
Okay, good.
They've got their little pad there. The things that are different are very exciting. The things that meaning every person is a different human being that you meet at the door, and you always have to consider that. But there are also some things you need to know. First, before you start having a conversation, let's find out where you stand. If you said, I am radically pro-abortion, get off my stoop, you're out of there, because that is a waste of your time. You've got 50,000 homes to visit in a long weekend. You can't. That's not a conversation you're going to have. But you'll get into the conversation. Ask if you know what the position of the person in public office is currently on the other side. If you know what the other side's position is, period, that's going to be your contrast. Okay. We've already found out what moves this voter. So we'll say, are you aware that X is for aborting children who feel pain starting at 15 weeks? And generally they have no idea, or that they're not for saving the life of a baby who's accidentally born during abortion. Alive, you establish that, and then you contrast it with the candidate who is reasonable, who was wonderful. So, and if they are interested in voting ahead of time, you make sure that you have that information. If they and then after that great conversation, we'll get that information. We have these beautiful stories that come in all the time. We have 1 billion pictures of these interactions. They're just my favorite part. And then we stick with them. And we have all sorts of other communication going in. As soon as they've voted absentee, if they do, we don't send anything else to them. We're done. The part that is really, I think, moving and beautiful in addition to their vote, which we, of course, need, is that everyone prays before they go. And that often you come in contact with some really tough situations. There are people who have had abortions, who are inclined to be pro-life but have never healed. They need, and that it's happened many times, that the first person who has ever brought the issue up is a canvasser at the front door. So they're trained in handling tough situations where there's tenderness needed and concrete resources to follow up with.
Well, you must do some thorough vetting when you're hiring these people then.
We go to the best colleges in the country, Christian colleges, and I tell you, they are over 100 colleges represented around the country, thousands of students, a couple of marriages so far.
That's
awesome. Like a dating service you never even thought could be. Yeah, so I highly encourage anybody out there who's got a college-age kid, get in touch with Susan D. Anthony, Pro-Life America.
Yeah, and what amazing things we've been seeing in the youth lately, too. So it's just so encouraging to see just this fire for Jesus.
Yes.
And,
it's just a galvanizing moment. And so I'm at home grieving and then so happy to see this moment of joy, of what can I do?
Amen.
How do I make this concrete? First, my heart changes, and then I go out and for us, the bridge from that joy, that new life within, moving that into the political arena has a direct effect on the lives of unborn children.
Absolutely.
And that is
it's so practical
exciting.
For people. They can see the difference.
Very concrete.
Yeah. So I would love to know, I mean, you have been such a leader in this movement for so long. How can the Patriot Mobile family pray for you as you go into this next season? Because I know that the spiritual attacks are probably very great, and I feel this intensification of because the Spirit is moving so amazingly that there are a lot more attacks on people like you who are in the fight. So how can we support you and pray for you?
Danielle, thank you. I was just with a couple. We were praying just about this, and A couple of things. One is for the safety of pro-life leaders. I was
right.
just talking to the head of the March for Life, who have little marches all over the country, and they're going on their second since Charlie died, and so their safety, and then of course every leader in the pro-life movement and beyond, but specifically for those fighting for life, who tend to churn up a lot of anger among people who've had abortions, especially, and then also navigating in the imperfect political world that we have, just that every elected official would stay strong in the faith and strong in their commitment to life. That the temptations that seem smart in the moment might end up undermining the fight for life. And so just staying strong. A lot easier said than done. And sometimes it seems so complicated. I ask that the Lord help them see how simple it is. The simplicity is what we want our elected officials to see. That you could do a lot of things. Money matters. Right. We've got to take care of people's precious treasures. But the most precious treasure is the unborn child. Don't sacrifice.
That's right. Yeah. Well, thank you for all that you do, and we will continue to be partnered with you guys and pray for you. Obviously, not just in the coming midterms, but just in this coming season. Whatever the Lord has in store is what He's doing in our country. Just know that we are in it with you guys. And I wanted to close actually by a quote from Erica Kirk. I just felt it was so powerful, and it really does to me relate to the womanhood. And so, choose prayer. Choose courage, choose beauty, choose adventure, choose family, choose a life of faith, and most importantly, choose Christ. Until next time, thank you.